Good morning. Thank you for being patient with Elvis this morning. He had to make the announcement for me about Melissa Caddick. Obviously, he sounded very croaky, didn't he? And he hadn't had a very good night's rest, and he hadn't had a coffee. So I thought I would make another video and try to do a better job of it, because I did not express the situation very well, and I just wanted to correct something that I said as well, because I wanted to let you know the correct name of the place where this macabre find happened. So Melissa Caddick, she's a 49-year-old woman, I believe, who in November last year was under an immense amount of pressure, because for several months she knew that the shit was going to hit the fan. She was running a financial advisory business and investment service that she legally wasn't entitled to operate. She was fraudulently using another person's investment broker's license. She was creating these false documents to look like ComSec securities, ComSec, investment banking accounts were opened for her clients, but she was basically creating these on, Adobe Photoshop or whatever she was doing. Okay, so she was forging documents to make it look like they were statements from the bank showing her clients' investments, and made up figures for their, for their investment returns. And everything had come to a head for her. She had a court date of November the 13th, and on the 11th, enforcement authorities were at her home in Dover Heights in Sydney. So this is on the east coast of Sydney, and it's the home that she had a mortgage on, and she lived there with her younger husband, Anthony Koletti, and her teenage son. Her teenage son is the son of her first husband, a Mr. Caddick, whom, when he was with Melissa, he went through law school. He's an attorney now. And on November the 11th, was it ASIC, the Australian Securities and Investments Commission, and maybe the AFP, I think the Australian Federal Police might have been there as well. They were removing records. So she had her home office from this multi-million dollar house. That's where she ran her business from. They were taking financial records, electronics, all sorts of evidence to use in the case that was being brought against her. So she had a court date to appear on the 13th. November the 11th is the last time anyone sort of recorded as seeing her, I guess, other than maybe husband and son, possibly brother Adam. And rather than sort of call up and say, hey, look, my wife is missing, I'm a bit worried about her because she's under a lot of pressure at the moment, we're in a bit of doo-doo, Anthony just rocks up to the courthouse on November the 11th. Did he purposefully give her a 30-hour lead? Did he give himself a 30-hour lead is what I really want to know. Why do I really wonder this? Because at the time when Anthony was making press conference releases to the public, please, to Melissa, please come home, you're not in any trouble. What he was also saying as statements included, look, we need to be looking around the coast, all around this beachfront area around our home. We really need to do this. This is what he was saying. He was really insistent. So what you need to know about this part of Sydney is when you go out along the south coast of the harbour and out to the ocean line, along that part of Sydney, on the north and south heads of the harbour outlet. So, when you've got the harbour, you come in, Sydney City's sitting right on the harbour, and out at the opening of the harbour to the ocean, sorry, not describing this well, it's cliffs, and those cliffs head on up and down the coast, and it's known as the Gap. And where Melissa lives is a block back from this cliff front, and it's a known suicide spot. And there's obviously was speculation, when the Sun has stated he heard the door slam or close at 5:30 on the morning of November the 13th, assuming Mommy is going out for a run. She would normally go for a run around her area. It's thought, okay, has she gone out and committed suicide? And I wondered, has she been murdered by husband or brother? And as time went on, people have been more speculative about her just disappearing. She's in Indonesia. I thought if she was going anywhere, maybe she's gone to Indonesia, because they seem to have a lot of contacts there, and it might be one of the easier places to get to, and with everything as it is, world climate. So what has happened with this south coast, with the way that the tides run, the movement of the oceans, well, it's actually a Tasman Sea there, and then it sort of goes into the Pacific Ocean, but the Tasman Sea is between New Zealand and Australia. Marine scientists and marine police have been working on where a body may turn up if it landed in the ocean at Dover Heights, and down on our south coast is one of those areas that they would have been investigating. But this macabre find, it wasn't discovered by police, so it was the Tathra National Forest, okay? So it was the coastline of New South Wales, the Tathra State Forest, or National Forest, sorry, and people that were camping there have discovered the shoe with the foot inside the shoe. And DNA has been taken, and they've got DNA samples, from things like her hairbrush and that sort of thing at the home. And they've now announced they're certain that this is Melissa's DNA. This is her foot in this shoe. So I guess now there can be a whole lot more speculation until police release more details, because we don't know if this foot has been severed from her body mechanically. Was there a boating accident? Was she caught up in some wire? Was the foot severed? Was it cut off by Melissa? I know we can make a lot of jokes and things, and I really don't think we should about this case, because she does have a son and she's got her parents there in Sydney, and they will be in shock and grieving. So let's try to keep it tasteful, you know. But I guess that's one option, is that she's done it herself. But I think we need to be aware that there is a very known phenomenon when hikers, anyone from misadventure, boaties, suiciders, when they end up in the ocean, often a foot in a shoe is found, or a foot in a boot. Okay, so this is something that happens, whether it's because marine animals have eaten the rest of the body, or not, or if it's part of natural degradation of a body. I don't know, with the bone, how would that get broken? I don't know. In Bondi Beach, the main beach just south of where Melissa Caddick and Anthony Koletti's Dover Heights houses, there's a colony, well, actually a bit further south at Maroubra, there's a colony of grey nurse sharks. They look very terrifying, but I always had no qualms swimming out at the bra, as we call it, Maroubra, into the deep, or just surfing, swimming in storms, or at any time of day, because they look terrifying, but they're not known predators of human beings, and they're actually quite gentle, and they're under threat. But as you get out further and down into the colder waters, the more south you go, we've got a lot of great white sharks. So if anything's got into Melissa's body, it could be great white shark. Her brother Adam has 1% ownership of the Dover Heights home, and maybe has other links to her business dealings, etc., that was set up for whatever reason, I don't know, to try and save things from being sold, or whatever. Is he involved beyond her bringing his name into it? He seems to be a staunch supporter, but I'm suspicious of the brother, because if he's got anything to do with it, he doesn't want her to name him in court, maybe to lighten her own legal load. And I am suspicious of Anthony. And why? Because, okay, everyone is saying he's a bit of a doofus, he's too thick to know anything, she wouldn't have trusted him. But look, this 30-hour window, it could be to give himself some time, and he may have been involved, because this could be part of their marriage arrangement. They met, he was a hairdresser for Joe Bailey, who is a very famous Australian hairstylist. He does the famous Joe Bailey blow wave to make hair bouncy and shiny for, the ladies who lunch, and businesswomen, business executives, etc., who want to look fabulous every day. They get the hair blow waved every day, and he could have been a really great introduction go-between for Melissa and prospective clients to this rich demographic, people that live in Double Bay and Rose Bay and all those inner city suburbs, Vaucluse, and it's known to be one of the richer areas of Sydney. And if you're saying that about Sydney, then it's one of the richer areas in Australia, if not the richest. So a lot of wealth, and he could have been making introductions to get her underway. Because what you need is just some people to be able to say, look, I've done this for them, and everything is word of mouth. And what has happened, though, is Melissa has courted people. She has developed friendships, and she has then taken their money, and these people have thought that they are Melissa's friend. So there are a lot of, if it's foul play, if it's not suicide, then there are a lot of suspects, because a lot of people wanted Melissa dead. Maybe they just wanted revenge because they know they're not going to get any money, right? But, you know, I am sus of her husband. I think her husband could have said, here, I'll get you away. And then he's killed her. I mean, we'll an autopsy if she's found and if her body is in good enough condition to make good forensic judgments. Will it show that she's been whacked on the head and not by a rock? Will it show that she was drugged and asleep? I mean, you know, I'm very sus. So, you know, would Anthony and Adam, the brother, work together? Because if anybody else was involved at all, then they are going to be culpable. They can go to court and then go to jail. So there's a lot at stake. So, yes, Melissa could have just had feelings of such deep shame, regret, remorse that, you know, you're not rational. When you're suicidal, you're not thinking about who you're leaving behind and the son, for example. And, you know, it's possible that these feelings have been so overwhelming that she was under so much stress. A lot of people don't think so. They think she'd never do this in a million years, that she's just too nasty. She's too much of a piece of work. But, you know, when it all came crashing down, you know, perhaps, yeah, she suddenly woke up and didn't like the world that she was, you know, alive in anymore, because it was going to be extremely embarrassing. Her, you know, failures, her fraudulent activity, her fakeness was going to be there for everybody to see. They would all know that she didn't earn the money, that she wasn't this brilliant financial whiz woman. Okay, they were going to know that she has purposefully ruined people's lives, stolen from them, and lived an ostentatious lifestyle right in front of their very eyes. So look, suicide is possible, but I guess, you know, I've mentioned before there are many boating areas around there, so lots of marinas, and she could have hopped on a boat and had a boating accident somewhere out in the sea. It can get pretty wild off the coast of Sydney there in the deep ocean, in the open waters. That's a definite possibility that it's misadventure. Maybe she was taken out to sea and then thrown overboard. But I find it suspicious, and do you, that Anthony was insisting the search needed to be all around the coastline near their home. He mentioned that specifically, and he didn't say on the 12th, hey, I can't find my wife. So AFP, the Australian Federal Police, and ASIC, we say ASIC for short, ASIC and AFP were at her home November the 11th. The court date was the 13th. That's when Anthony drove into the courthouse. So why didn't he report this on the 12th? I mean, is he going to say, no, her brother was saying, no, just give her time. She's just thinking it over. She just needs to cool her head. What do you think? Has the husband or brother or a pissed off client got something to do with this? Many people knew about her court date coming up on the 13th. They knew they had a short time to strike. Why wasn't the Australian Federal Police following her every move? Why was she not under surveillance? How did they actually ever let this happen is what I want to know. And they should have known she was a flight risk, a suicide risk, or a murder victim risk. That's just my 2 cents worth. I feel that strongly, though. How did this happen? I mean, how? And, of course, there's no security footage At the home, they took the cameras.